Welcome to Afterlife Conversations, the space where spirit speaks, science listens, and the invisible becomes real. I'm your host, Johnny Bruce, psychic, medium, and intuitive coach. Today, we're diving into emotional recession. I want to start by asking you to check in with a very specific feeling. It's a feeling I suspect many of you have experienced in the quiet moments of your life recently. It isn't just physical tiredness. If you were just physically tired from the gym, running errands, or chasing after kids or pets, a good night's sleep would fix it. Now, this is different. It's a heaviness. It's the feeling of looking at a hobby you used to love, painting, reading, hiking, and feeling absolutely no desire to pick it up. It's the feeling of sitting across from a friend or partner, knowing you should be present, knowing you love them, but finding your internal emotional cupboard is bare. For the last few years, we have used words like languishing or the blahs to describe this, but I'm here to tell you that those words are insufficient. We are not just off. We are living through a structural collapse of our inner world. We are living through what researchers are now calling an emotional recession. The other day, I had a synchronistic moment. I had completed a reading, and the message was to find our joy, stay in it, and maintain stability while in it. It's the only way to survive the times we are living. I agreed with the message, but thought, how do I position what appears to be a simple message into a podcast? Then, the very next morning, a research article landed in my inbox. Today, I want to take you through the very latest science published just this month that quantifies this collapse. Then, I want to move beyond the data to look at the spiritual reality underneath it. And finally, I want to offer you an old, forgotten map out of this wilderness. Let's look at the hard reality. Earlier this month, November 2025, a landmark study was published in Frontiers in Psychology. Researchers analyzed data from 28,000 people across 166 countries. They weren't looking for how productive we are. They were looking for the quality of our internal lives. The findings were stark. While emotional intelligence dropped globally, 3 specific capabilities fell off a cliff. They are the drive competencies. First, exercise optimism, the ability to see hope and options for your family or your future. 2, engage intrinsic motivation, the ability to do things because they bring you joy, not because you have to. And third, pursue noble goals, the connection to a larger purpose, being a good neighbor, a loving parent, a creator. Think about those 3 things: optimism, motivation, purpose. These are not just nice to haves. They are the fuel of the human experience. The data tells us that we have entered an emotional recession. Just like an economic recession is a shortage of money, an emotional recession is a shortage of the energy required to care. We see this everywhere in modern life. We see it in the decline of volunteering. We see it in the social recession, where people are spending less time with friends than at any point in recorded history. We are technically connected by our phones, but we are spiritually isolated. We are operating on fumes. We are seeing a global decline in the capacity to believe that next year will be better than this year. And without that belief, without optimism, the human spirit begins to power down. So, if the science says our drive is broken, how do we fix it? The standard advice is take a break, go to a spa, binge watch a show. But be honest with me. Has a weekend on the couch actually fixed this for you? Or do you stand up on Sunday night feeling just as empty as you did on Friday? The reason rest isn't working is that this isn't a fatigue problem. It's a spiritual one. Recent writers and philosophers have started using an ancient word to describe our modern condition. It's a word used by monks in the 4th century. The word is acedia. Acedia is often mistranslated as sloth or laziness, but it's not laziness. You can be very busy and still have acedia. The monks called it the noonday demon. It is a state of listlessness where one knows what is good, knows they should play with their kids or call their mother or make art, but simply refuse to care. It is a spiritual apathy. This perfectly explains the drop in intrinsic motivation. When we suffer from acedia, our relationships become transactional. We show up to the family dinner, but we are checking the boxes. We are physically there, but spiritually absent. We stop being the authors of our own lives and become passengers. We are also facing a bankruptcy of spiritual capital. We have spent years drawing down on our reserves of hope to survive global instability and personal stress. But we haven't made any deposits. We have stripped the noble goals out of our lives to focus on survival, paying bills, running errands, keeping the house clean. The result is what modern philosophers call the meaning crisis. We have become efficient at the logistics of life, but we have completely lost the essence of life. And without listening to our essence, our human intelligence is operating out of harmony with our spiritual intelligence. If the problem is acedia, a paralysis of the will, then the solution is not relaxation. Relaxation often makes acedia worse. The solution is leaning into the contrast. We need to rebuild our energetic vibration. I want to offer you 3 specific tools. Ancient anecdotes adapted for modern life. I want to offer you 3 specific tools. Ancient anecdotes adapted for modern life. The first tool, stabilitas, the chair. The primary symptom of acedia is the urge to flee, to go anywhere else. In 2025, we flee into our phones. We flee into busyness. The antidote is stabilitas. It means stability of place. When you feel the gray feeling wash over you and you want to distract yourself, instead of fleeing or grabbing that next thing, stay in the moment. Give yourself a 10-minute rule. Tell yourself, I will not pick up my phone for 10 minutes. I will sit here and feel this boredom, this gray, this emptiness. Then you think of a moment of joy. You live in that moment and recognize the contrast between the gray and the joy. So how do we do this? Instead of a guided meditation today, we're going to try this in practice. If you are able, I want you to close your eyes and think of a moment you recently experienced that brought you sadness, fear, or anger. Take a moment and feel into the experience. As you think about it, you should feel heavy in your chair. Energetically, you are more dense because these emotions are vibrating more slowly. Now, think of a moment recently that brought you great joy. Maybe you finished a task you have been putting off. Someone complimented you on something you worked hard for, or maybe someone hugged you and just said they loved you. Feel into that moment. At this point, you feel lighter in your chair. In that moment, you are vibrating at a much higher rate. When you feel lighter, you have the energy to do. You are also vibrating closer to the vibration of spirit, source, and divine intelligence. Let's think about this practically. You are retraining your brain. You are listening to your spirit when it says you can survive silence by taking control of the silence. Allow for the intrinsic motivation, your own spark, versus the extrinsic kick you get, the reinforcement outside of you with the phone, the TV, or reaching out to a friend just to hear their problems. Misery does love company. What you just experienced was a thought, brought up an emotion. That emotion gave you a physical feeling. You expressed that emotion to others. That leads you to another joyful thought that you may have impacted someone else with your joy. You experience the feeling of it, you express it, and it goes on and on. Think about the contrast of that. You have a fearful, angry, or depressed thought, which reinforces the emotion. You feel it, you express it, and it can go on and on. Which would you choose? You have the control to break the cycle by sitting in your place, present in the moment of your thoughts and emotions. My apologies for the brief interruption. I'd like to thank you for listening. And if you've made it this far, chances are you're enjoying what you're hearing. And if that's the case, we have a quick favor to ask. The single best way you can support the show is by hitting that subscribe or follow button right now, wherever you listen. Subscribing is totally free, and it means you'll never miss a moment of afterlife conversations we share. Plus, it helps us climb those charts so even more people can discover and enjoy the show. So, go ahead, tap subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, and it makes a huge difference to us. Thanks again for listening. So let's move on to tool number 2. It's called the little way. We lose noble goals because they feel too heavy. We think a noble goal has to be ending world hunger that is too big for a Tuesday. The anecdote comes from Saint Teresa of Lisieux, who taught the little way. The practice is where we take a radical reduction of scope. We don't try to fix world hunger today. That requires too much optimism. Instead, we set a micro goal. It's that I will provide a meal for someone today. Don't try to provide home for all the unhoused. Just offer one bed. This is spiritual physics. Action precedes motivation. By doing a tiny thing with great love, you prove to yourself that you have agency. You light a match in the dark. A match isn't the sun, but it's enough to see your next step. So, tool number 3, this is the last one. Ora et labora, the hands. Acedia is a disease of the intellect. We think and worry and analyze our lack of motivation. The anecdote is labora, manual labor. This is a reason why gardening, baking, and woodworking have exploded in popularity. When your soul feels tired, use your hands. Clean a drawer, fold the laundry, knead dough. This is what cognitive scientists called embodied cognition. Your hands tell your brain that you are capable of changing reality. When you move a pile of dirt from here to there, you have undeniable proof that you exist and you have power. It jumpstarts the drive engine that the research says is failing. Ora et labora, hand and heart. Acedia lives in the head. We overthink our lives. We worry about the future. We ruminate on the past. The antidote is in the head, heart, and hands. When you cannot find the will to be spiritual, use your thoughts, feelings, and action. It bypasses the exhausted mind and proves to your spirit that you can still impact reality. As you do, you are energetically vibrating with a closeness with spirit. You can find that connection with spirit to continue to feed your soul. Think about that moment when you're watching the news and you just see depressing article after article. Stop for that moment. Think about a moment of joy. Feel it. Express it. And get up and move on. Redefine your reality. We are living in an emotional recession. The data proves it, and our hearts feel it. But a recession is not the end of the world, and this is not the end of your story. It is a correction. It is a signal that we cannot continue to live on the surface of our own lives. The research shows that optimism is not a personality trait. You are born with it. It is a discipline you practice. Noble goals are not just something you find on a mountaintop. They are something you forge in your living room. So my challenge to you today is this. Stop waiting to feel inspired. Stop waiting for the mood to strike you to be a creator, a lover, or a friend. Start with your thoughts, emotion, and action. Put the phone down when you want to scroll. Do the small thing with great love. Wash the bowl, plant a seed, call the friend, not to wallow in their problems, but change their vibration so they can solve their own problems. If we can do that, if we can move from apathy to agency in our own lives, we won't just survive this recession. We will come out of it with a deeper, more resilient kind of joy. Ultimately, we will connect with spirit. Everyone has the ability. Everyone can do it every day. When you're feeling that strike of genius and you are vibrating high, you are tapping into divine intelligence. When you're feeling joyful and you see a sign from a loved one who's passed on, you are connected with spirit. Thanks for being here on Afterlife Conversations. If this stirs something in you, subscribe, share it, or reach out to johnnybruce.com. I'd love to know what came through in your stillness. Until next time, trust your inner knowing and remember, the universe speaks to us. That voice in your head may not always be your own.